With me and you this afternoon, Joe O'Byrne, actor, director, playwright and filmmaker from Bolton, Sue Riding, who is a actor with Lip Service Theatre, and Ruth Daniel, who runs the record label Fat Northerner. And want to know now, you three, we're putting our sort of Manchester manifesto, our wish list together. Is there anything that we can do as a region, be it Manchester or Greater Manchester or the Northwest, that will set us above the rest of the country, as it were? If we're going to attract funding for our region, for our performers, for our artists, for our arts industry, we're competing with, London and Birmingham and all the other regions.
Compared to Ipswich, Manchester is quite a creative, buzzy city.
Yeah, I know. I mean, to touch on that very briefly, a lot of colleagues from south of the Watford Gap have been emailing me, with the big BBC move north, with questions. It's not quite like, have you got electricity, but it's not. It's like, come and have a look. We've got Selfridges and everything, and lights and
Harvey Nicks, come on.
And a sophisticated people who like, So yes, I don't know. I'm going to put that in. We could do more for change the image of the north, couldn't we? Really, we could do more. We could do more, perhaps, to sell the regions to those in the south and make them more aware of the fact that there is stuff up here that's perhaps a little bit more creative than they realise. Do you come up against that, Joe? Northern stereotyping that makes it difficult?
Well, yeah, absolutely. Particularly, again, from our, I won't say friends at the UK Film Council, but, up to last year, 90% of film funding, 95%, sorry, of film funding went to London. 5% went to the rest of the country.
So the whole of the rest of the country shares 5%.
Shared 5%.
Which means that we are going to get, what, of that 5%, how much does the Manchester or the North West get?
Exactly, so you know the kind of thing they're up
Points
against.
of 1%.
Yeah, but we've had a wonderful, magnificent move of the goalposts, marginal, I have to say, whereas now London gets 75% of funding. London gets 75% of funding, 20% then goes to the South East, 5% for the remainder of the country.
Why? How is that justified when it's challenged? What do they say? That there isn't a film industry in the Northwest, therefore there's nothing to fund?
Yeah, that's basically what they're saying. That there's no UK film industry.
So we're in a chicken and egg situation here, aren't we? If you don't fund it, there isn't one, and if there isn't one, they won't fund it.
But there is one that's being made, and there's an independent film circuit going on, the Northwest New Wave, that I've been telling you about. They're trying to get not the British film industry, but an industry for British film, where basically all we want is, for instance, 95% of our cinemas are American. So obviously,
that's because a lot of people go to those cinemas, and the independents are closing down, Joe, because nobody's going in and paying for that ticket.
That's not necessarily true. I think that the biggest problem goes back to what I said at the top of the show back in 1969, when the ED levy was signed away. For those that don't know, the ED levy, it was a tax on cinema tickets. Every ticket that was bought, money went back into the pool to keep on creating British films, and it funded things like the Rank cinema chain, Associated British Pictures.
It's a difficult electoral sell, another tax, mate.
British Lion
will
films.
Tax your cinema attendance is not going to win people.
They don't have to do that. All they have to do is, as I say, that first one at the stroke of a pen. All it is a stroke of a pen. 12% British quotas back.
Okay, let's get back to this quota, because it's an interesting one. You could put as many British films as you want in multiplexes.
Yes.
Are you convinced that people will spend their money and go and see? The multiplexes will say, we've got a film on it, nobody's going to see it, but we're required to put it in by law, but I've got an empty screen that I could be showing Harry Potter in and making money.
I should have brought this in with me.
Will people go and see British film?
Yes, they will go and see British film. It was proof in the past. They were watching them in the 60s, they were watching them in the 70s, but there was only like Associated British Pictures that was hanging on by its fingernails right up to 1976 that was still putting stuff out there. But in the end, as I say, with the death of the ED levy, it just single-handedly destroyed our British filmmaking system.
Big blockbuster movies, though, the kind that attract the massive audiences these days and have to justify the astronomical costs that go into making
the cinemas going. Yeah,
you're not going to make Avatar in Bolton.
No, you're not. But the problem,
that's what people want to go and
is
see now.
Your cinema chains that have to take these films on, to survive, to thrive, etc., to keep people, supplying the popcorn or the projectionist wages, all this sort of stuff. They have to then if you're taking Avatar, you're going to take these 12 rubbish films as well that have been made in America. And you will show them for as long as we tell you to show them. The UK Film Council is made up of at least a third, maybe not near enough half, of Americans or people on the board with American film interest, and all they're interested in. Believe me, this has been a war that was declared on the British film industry that's gone on for 25 years up to 1969, and it was won in 1969 with the signing away of those rights.
Okay, well, is there anything, Ruth, that the film industry can learn from the music industry? Because, you know, America has been quite dominant in pop music throughout the world, but you seem to have held your own, whereas the film industry hasn't. Is there anything they can learn from you?
Oh, I don't know. I mean, I think film's quite different. I mean, I think there's a lot that we can probably learn from the film industry in the way that we've reacted to kind of digital technology. But I don't know. I mean, I think it's about just keeping on producing good films. I mean, I love British film.
What's the point if you haven't got anybody to show them?
Well, I mean,
you can't get them out there.
It's
a nightmare. We have no support from our government whatsoever. There's no support.
Okay, well, that's back to quotas. Let's in preparation for this, I was looking at a couple of articles. So, music and theatre enrich people's lives, Joe. You can't argue that film doesn't, but
absolutely.
Are you worried about the funding? I mean, you're talking about trying to recreate the British film industry.
Absolutely.
When the British economy is in the worst it's been for decades.
Extremely worried, and as I said earlier, Andy, I think this we could really cover a whole show between us on film and what's going wrong with film. But in particular, what I'm worried about is the UK Film Council that, as I say, that has massive American interests to the point that the most of the money that is available for UK film funding goes on bribes to Hollywood producers to produce their films over here.
Bribes is a very strong word.
Well, all right, it's
incentives.
Well, it's facts, incentives. All right, let's say incentives.
Happens in the music industry, though. I mean,
but why isn't it going to British film? Why is it going to American film?
You know, if you wanted a particular artist on your television programme, you often found that the record industry said, "But you've got to take these minor artists first and give them some TV exposure." It's nothing new, is it?
Well, yeah, but as I say, the problem with this is it's all about colonisation from America.
And you think there should be legislation to prevent this?
We've got to stop it. We've got to stop it. The French have done it. The Spanish have done it. Why can't we do it? We're supposed to be part of this European community, aren't we? Why can't we adopt the same kind of rules and regulations? Why can't we support the British culture? It's all about culture at the end of the day. The other countries are very keen on keeping their culture as a country going. We aren't. We've lost it when it comes to that.
And the arts is the way of reflecting our culture and defending our culture.
What better medium than film could you possibly have? Because you've got writing in there, you've got art in there, you've got acting in there, the whole thing is there. The country's in there. It's all visual. It's all culture. There's our country, and not an American version of British culture, which is what we're getting stuffed down our throats with your Four Weddings, your Notting Hills, etc., etc. It's time for change, and unfortunately, it's going to be 2 or 3 generations before we see the kind of changes that we need.
I'll have to leave it there. Joe, thank you. Thank you to Sue. Thank you to Ruth. And thank you for your contributions via text and email. I'll get to those in the next hour. This is BBC Radio Manchester. We've done the Manchester Manifesto on the Arts. If you'd like to add to it, you're very welcome to do so in the next hour.